Welcome to The It Factor. The It Factor is a platform, a medium that highlights individuals who have made an essential impact to not only the Atlanta metro area, but around the world. These individuals have made significant and paramount differences that will be life-changing and motivational to the viewers. Hello, my name is Hank Stewart, and you're listening and viewing The It Factor. In the past, we've had some phenomenal guests, and today is no different. We have a young lady that I'll call her my shero. She is the president of Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated. She's an entrepreneur. She's a wife, mother, grandmother, and she's phenomenal. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The It Factor, Beverly Smith. How you doing, Madam President?
I'm fine, Hank. How are you today?
Today is the best day of my life because I'm sitting here with you.
What?
Yeah, it's the truth. It's the truth. It's the truth.
Thank you.
The more I started thinking about it, I did a lot of research on you, and I was like, the first question is, how do you get all of this done? You're the president of one of probably the most prestigious organization out. Over 250,000 women that you lead, right?
Absolutely.
You're an entrepreneur. You run a successful company.
We do.
You're a wife, and we just talked off camera, getting ready to celebrate 50 years.
50
so you've done that right, too.
Right.
You've done that right, too.
We've hung in.
You're a mother and you're a grandmother. How do you get it all done?
You know, through God's grace. I think that's what you have to do, first of all, in terms of thanks for the blessings that I've had in life. And we do have two great children. We're very, very proud. We have 5 grandchildren. Stephanie and I, it's 49 years. It'll be 50 years next year. So it's, you just do what you have to do. You do what God gives you the grace to do, and you try and do it as best you can.
But it seems like you have 25 hours in a day, and we only have 24. And some of us have, 7 days in a week, and you get your 8th day. You do it, and you do it with such style and with such grace and humility. Let's go back. How does it feel to lead an organization so prestigious as Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated with 250,000 women and powerful women?
Oh,
right?
And over 300,000.
Over 300,000.
A lot of us here.
A lot.
It's a blessing. It's a very humbling experience. Some days it's a very frustrating experience. I'd be crazy if I didn't say it wasn't. But it's, I'm honored by it and truly humbled by the opportunity to lead this organization and to be able to do the things that we're doing in a very difficult time. I will say that. It's, when 45 won and I won that same year, I said, I didn't get one that really is going to be focused on our issues. But the fact that he hasn't focused on our issues has really given us a voice.
I so agree.
Oh yeah, my theme for my administration has been joy in our sisterhood, power in our voice, service in our heart. And I think the opportunity to really expand that power in our voice and to focus on empowering others in a time when we really needed to be able to do that meant that this was the time that I should have been doing what I'm doing.
I think you hit it on the head. Sometimes, and I call them 46 minus 1, so I just refuse to call them. But I think sometimes strength comes out of adversity.
I think so.
And looks like you all are growing and doing some phenomenal things. Let's talk a little bit about the celebration. This is a 100-year celebration of the 19th Amendment and giving women rights. And Delta Sigma Theta has played a major role in that, right? So let's talk a little bit about that, a phenomenal role.
And when we were founded in 1913, that was the year of the Suffragette March, and Delta Sigma Theta was the only organization that marched as an organization. And I think the blessing in that was not at the end of the parade, but because of the relationship we had with some of the suffragettes, we got a chance to march where the collegians were. That kind of began our focus on social action. The fact that was the organization's first.
You think that's where it started?
That's where it started. That's where it started. Because our founders did that. They did it even though they knew they would not be able to get the right to vote. The leadership at that time was very strong. Mary Church Terrell is a member of the organization and really was a lead suffragette movement at that time. We moved on to Mary McLeod Bethune was a member, Dorothy Height, Fannie Lou Hamer, Daisy Bates with Little Rock Nine. If you look at Amelia Boynton, who actually asked Martin Luther King to come to Selma to start that movement.
And she don't get enough credit.
Oh, she does not.
She does not get enough credit for who she is and what part she played, even in Bloody Sunday.
Absolutely, absolutely. But she was there right in the front.
Wow.
And we're proud to have her have been there. Barbara Jordan, Shirley Chisholm, first woman, not black woman, first woman to run for president of the United States. We have 7 in Congress now. We've had 2 people in the United States cabinet. Alexis Herman, former Secretary of Labor. Harris, our first executive director, was in the cabinet as well. Dorothy Height served. Something that I found out recently I didn't realize, Mary McLeod Bethune was at the table when they formed the UN in San Francisco.
Wow.
And we now have Celebrate Delta Days at the UN.
Yeah.
So when you look at that, Loretta Lynch, in terms of Attorney General, we have 7 women in Congress now. We try to, and we're running people for office everywhere. You know, we're trying to quietly take over. So we focused on,
Y'all can't do anything quietly, though.
You know, we try.
y'all can't do anything quiet. Y'all do it, and y'all do it right.
You know, and we're trying to make sure that people can run for office. So we formed a new organization, actually recently in July 1. We incorporated a 501c4 organization, Delta for Women in Action. As a 501c3, we can't actually endorse candidates, 501c7. And we have to be careful in terms of how we can talk about resolutions and issues, but not necessarily about people. But we formed this organization so that we would have a wing that could actually endorse candidates, which we're getting ready to do today, come to think of it. They're putting a press release out today. We can actually train women to run for office. We put out information to support running for office. It's something that's in Delta's DNA.
You can
and it's
tell.
really a focus that we've had.
You can tell. If you're around a Delta
that.
long enough, you're going to hear something about social justice, action, community service,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
health. If you're around them long enough, that's what you're going to hear.
That's right. That's right.
Wow, and you said a name that I'm just one of my favorite names. A lot of people don't know this, Fannie Lou Hamer.
Oh, yes.
I'm a huge fan.
Sick and tired of being sick and tired?
Sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Absolutely.
And I wrote a piece recently, I'm going to get it to you, that's called Winona. And Winona is a piece, Winona is actually a city in Mississippi.
Oh.
I had an opportunity to go and speak at an event from Delta Sigma Theta in Mississippi.
There you go.
There you go. You and I go talk about how many times we run across each other at events.
I know.
But it was and a friend of mine told me the story of how Fannie Lou Hamer almost lost her life going through Winona. That's
right.
where she was beaten. And I had to write a piece called Winona in tribute to her.
Wonderful.
You just mentioned so many. You just ran across those names, and I hope the beautiful thing about this interview, people can rewind and hear those names again because you ran across some very powerful. Dr. Dorothy Irene Hyde.
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, we're very proud. We have had 12 Deltas on U.S. postal stamps.
Wow.
We've had more women on stamps than anybody, from Lena Horne, because it just runs the gamut. But the fact that you can, in fact, we believe, look at the history of the organization, look at the history of social justice in this country, just by the women we've had on stamps and from their histories. So it's in our DNA.
Well, the first time, I think when it wasn't the first time we met, but one time we met, and it was in March, and that's when Dr. Dorothy Irene Hyde's stamp was down at the Civil and Human Rights Museum.
Yes, that's right.
We met, and you were at that, and
that's
I think you were going into your presidency shortly before that.
I was.
So what we're going to do is, we got so much to talk about. We're going to take a quick break.
Okay.
And then we're going to come back, and we'll talk a little bit more about some of the things. You're listening to The It Factor. I have a phenomenal shero with me, Miss Beverly Smith, and we'll be right back. Hello, my name is Hank Stewart, and you're watching The It Factor, and I'm going to call her my big sister, my shero, my friend, Beverly Smith, president of Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated. So again, it's so good to have you. You were getting ready to tell me something offline about some of the things that you're doing, and even with Oprah.
Right.
Okay.
Which we're very excited about.
Okay.
Oprah has gotten so engaged with this election, and we are all very happy that she did. She's got a campaign called Own Your Vote.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which matches the name of her network. That's important. And she met with a lot of the African American organizations to try and determine whether or not there could be partnerships with her to try and really push this so that we're all pushing together.
That's
and
awesome.
I will say one thing I think about this time around, if I could say, all of the black organizations have come together. And we don't always do that. Sometimes we play the crabs in the barrel game. But I think this is so critical, and because this is a life-changing election, all of us have come together to really try to focus on the same issues and working together in every way we possibly can.
Education, criminal justice,
Yes.
you know, there's so many, you
Yes.
know, Corona, there's so many things that we've got to stand up and speak up about.
We have to. And it's brought more pandemics than you could possibly imagine. Economic, racism,
Exactly.
it's just, so it's critical.
Sexism, we've seen some of the things that, you know, targets, you know, women.
Absolutely.
And having, you know, the Supreme Court, the federal judges that are being appointed to these
right.
federal benches, over
That's
200 right now. So, and I think we mute on that. We don't understand how powerful that is.
We really don't. And we don't understand the issues on down ballot. I mean, because
that's
those
key.
issues, it wouldn't even get to the Supreme Court if the lower courts would make decisions that could stand
Exactly
up. So,
right.
you know, that's a whole
That's a whole other show
itself.
by itself. Like you
really
said,
is.
down
It really
ballot. I
is.
mean, and make it, because so many times we often stop at the president,
We do.
and we don't even get to the Senate in
We
a
don't.
lot of cases.
We don't. And look what that causes.
Exactly
I mean,
right.
making sure that Senate and those things that happen in the House of Representatives are there. But, you know, all politics is local.
All of it.
It starts in your community.
And
So-
we talk about that, and I think we have to do, Madam President. And how do you feel about this? I just think we have to do a better job of training our young people up. You know, because most of us saw our parents vote.
That's right.
And be involved. And now there seems to be a disconnect between the parent and the household and our children. And I think that's
Right.
why we're fighting so hard.
Oh, we are. They don't see it. They live in a different world. I think all the racism is still there. It just appears in different ways than it used to. It used to be a lot more obvious. I mean, I grew up with the colored water fountains and all of those things. These kids don't see that these days, and there is a sense of privilege there that wasn't there before. But the racism is there. It's maybe more subliminal than it used to be, but it has the same
still
effect
there.
on us in terms of holding us down. It holds the communities back. If the census is not taken care of, the advantage and the equal access, and I think that's a key word in all that we're doing, equal access, equitable access.
And we
makes
don't
a
know that
difference in terms
census
of who we are.
piece, Madam President, you said something. That's 10 years.
Yes, it is.
So, you know, and you think because you have a baby that is not affected but by the time the next census, your child is 10 years old.
That's right. That's right.
Right.
So their education's affected.
Is it
I mean,
affected?
where schools are built, the access to educational systems isn't there. Bandwidth. Even the amount of bandwidth they put in the internet is affected by the census.
Exactly
And I didn't
right.
realize that until I really started studying. So making sure that our kids actually, if you have to use a computer, if you're going to have to use the internet, and that may be a way of the world in the future, if you're living in an area where the census does not show that we need more cell towers, then it's not going to happen. That affects our education system, it affects the children. We have to pay attention to the long-term effects of decisions we make today.
And that's so true. I think we don't think our decisions today will affect tomorrow.
We don't.
And if we did, we would think hard and long
Oh,
about
absolutely.
the decisions we made,
Absolutely.
which is a perfect transition to you're the president of a prestigious organization, and you run a corporate organization. How do you merge the two of those? Because they're similar, but they're yet so different.
That's been really interesting because my title is National President and CEO.
Okay, right.
And I think we tend to, as members, focus on the sisterhood part of it. But Delta has a corporate office in Washington. We have 4 buildings on DuPont Circle and in the midst of an Embassy Row. It is a $30 million business.
Wow.
We have one of the largest black women-owned corporations in the world. And managing that side of it is something that you have to take care of at the same time you're taking care of the sisterhood. And we've done some things like we did a restructure. It was time to do a restructure of the organization, so focused on that, making sure all the right systems were in place. Part of making sure that our brand is strong, because we have to make sure that as a powerful organization, we brand ourselves not only as a sisterhood, but that a business that makes a difference in every aspect of what happens in this
Wow.
country.
Wow, that makes sense.
The power of black women and the power of what we can do behind that $30 million corporation that we have is critical for people to understand. So branding that both ways is something that we really try to focus on.
And we keep saying women, but I'm talking about some powerful women. So you have to juggle some real strong personalities.
Oh,
am I
yes,
correct?
indeed.
Because they're powerful women. Because they're powerful women,
That's right,
and
that's right.
and they run. Most of them run their own organizations.
They
and
do.
things, so they have their own ideas about things. And how do
Yes,
you merge
indeed.
those personalities sometimes?
You just really, sometimes you can, sometimes
Exactly
you can't.
right.
But you know, what you focus on, quite frankly,
Is the issue.
is the vision and the issue that you're fighting
And
for.
they all want a common ground on the issue.
Absolutely.
That's what makes it
Absolutely.
successful.
Absolutely. So trying to find common ground, regardless of the group you're working with, even when I was in corporate America, trying to find common ground among a team, making sure you set a vision that everybody can understand and see. So the articulation and how you communicate that vision, making sure that your members, your leadership gets involved in creating the vision is critical.
So they buy in when they're a part
Absolutely.
of it.
If they're a part of it, they buy in. So you
Exactly.
can't, there's no leader that's ever a standalone by themselves.
I totally agree. And you've had some. I mean, I know. I've heard Gwendolyn Boyd.
Yes.
And Paulette Walker. Dr.
Right.
Paulette was a friend of mine too.
Right.
So I know you. I mean, those are some powerful women.
They
and
are.
So
They are.
So let's transition. Dr. Dorothy Height once said, "Black women seldom do what they want to, but they always do what they have to."
It's true.
And how do you choose? Because there's some juggling that you have to do with your family, and how do you choose between what you can do with the family sometimes and what has to be done with the corporations? Because I know they intersect. And there's some family
They
things.
do. And sometimes, my children would sometimes say, Mom, you got to be tired. You got to take a break from what you're doing sometimes. And you have to weigh it all out. And in between my husband and I, Stephan, and we have 49 years together, and I think we're used to it. But I have to tell you, early on, we really made sure we understood each other's vision in terms of what we wanted to do. Stephan always wanted to have his own business. I wanted to do things in the corporate world, and then I wanted to do things in leadership. I think keeping that communication line open and agreeing to do things together and not doing things we didn't. We always had this rule because we moved a lot. We moved, I guess, about 8 times. Whoever got the better offer or the better job, that's who we'd move for.
Oh, that's great.
So sometimes we move for me to a different city. Sometimes we move for Stephan to a different city or to do something differently. But I think you mutually have to make some decisions in terms of how you support each other and what that support looks like.
But you all compliment each other. I've been around you on several occasions, but y'all compliment each other. Y'all have complimented each other so much you almost look alike. 'Cause you just,
Everybody tells us that.
Yeah, because you just have that funness, and he's a jokester, but we're going to talk about that later.
Yes, he is.
Yeah. But you have that, you jive and you can see it. If you're around the two of y'all, you can feel it.
Oh, thank you for that. And this is a man who proposed 6 weeks after we met.
Wow.
Which was really funny because
6 weeks?
6 weeks. We honestly
he was
did not,
smitten.
He was crazy.
You had it. You have it.
Yeah, whatever. So,
you have it. He knew that he couldn't let it get away.
I guess he did. I'm not sure. So, so for the first 4 years, we didn't have kids. We waited to make sure we got a chance to know each other a little bit better first. But he, we laugh about it, but we have tried to he is a practical joker, and some days that's a good thing, and some days it's not. But, and there are times and periods in these years where we just basically had to tolerate each other until we got through it. And I think he would probably say the same thing if he was willing to and not get hurt. So, but it's ups and downs. But you can't, sometimes I think people give up too easily and too quickly on a relationship. And you just can't do that. There's always going to be tough times.
We're going to come back and we're going to talk a little bit about that.
Okay.
When you're looking and you're watching the It Factor, I have Madam President of Delta Sigma Theta. We'll be right back. Hello, my name is Hank Stewart. You're watching the It Factor. I have Madam President of Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated, Beverly Smith with me. We're gonna finish this up. This is so much fun. I'm a kid in a candy store right now, just enjoying this. So let's talk a little bit. We've had an opportunity to kind of travel a little bit together doing the doing the Heritage Pride in Our Heritage.
Sure, right.
And so you saw me nervous in Philadelphia.
Yes, I did.
I'm usually not nervous, right?
I was shocked.
I'm usually not nervous. I'm really not nervous, but I had every right to be nervous. Now,
You did.
I was performing for your Sarah.
You did.
Nikki Giovanni.
Indeed.
That's poetic royalty. You know what I mean?
It is.
So the question is, do you ever get nervous? Is there anything that makes you nervous? We were in L.A. together. You were Mara Brock-Akil, and you were sitting at the table with Beyonce's mom and all these folks around there.
Right.
And you got up and nailed this speech, right?
Oh, well, thank you.
Do you ever? Is there any time that you just get nervous?
Not often.
Wow. Okay. You're just bad. Because I'm telling you, there's been times that I'm like, I need my own time alone right now.
And I still have the picture I took when you went over to shake her hand, and it showed.
That's okay. We're not going to show that picture.
I was so impressed. Okay, we won't go there.
You gave me a hard time. And
I did.
You said you were just nervous.
Look at you. Always so proud of such an elegant guy who is a wreck. But that's okay. That's okay.
I can remember nothing that day, Madam President.
It was good. But living a long time and meeting a lot of people and doing a lot of things. And I guess, I think that God gifted people with the gifts they have. I'm very proud and happy for the blessings that other people have. And I don't glorify them, but I also respect them. And I think from that perspective, we're all...
That's a book. That's a bumper sticker.
We're all in this with our different talents, and I think that's what I respect most about people. And I'm very proud of people, but not necessarily nervous with them because we all have our talents. So.
Wow. Madam President, what would you tell your younger self? What would you tell your younger self now? What advice would you give your younger self, looking back?
Take better personal care of yourself.
Okay.
And right now, I didn't start any new initiatives in Delta for the most part, except for one, and that's one called Delta Care.
Okay.
We do not take care of Black men or women ourselves as we could. And your health is your wealth. And there's a saying that goes, if you don't take care of your body, where you live. I would, my mom was she was old school. She was not a believer that women should sweat. So, I don't even think I had a pair of jeans when I was growing up. She just didn't focus on, which is why I focused so much on exercise and getting out with my children. But, I took good mental care of myself. I will say that because I read and try and do that a lot. I take care of some of me. My eyes are important because I have a family history of glaucoma and that kind of thing. But, weight fluctuates up and down. I'll just honestly say that. And getting out and away from my desk. I love to read. I am the biggest nerd probably there is.
Who's your favorite author?
Oh, I have about over 1,000, over 1,500 books at home.
Okay.
I've got a huge library. And I don't like romance novels. I'm not into that. But I do like mysteries. I'm a big, huge Harry Potter fan. I always bought the books the first day they came out.
Wow.
My grandchildren think I'm crazy. But they love it because I will go to the cartoon movies with them when nobody else will because I'm there. But I like a lot of genres, so I just kind of go between. I'm trying to get into biographies more because I think there's a lot of lessons in that.
Some good ones, too.
There are. So I read just about everything.
Yeah.
Books and music are just my favorite things in the world.
One of my favorite books is What Makes the Great Great by Dr. Dennis Kimbrough.
Oh, I haven't read that.
You should read that. That's a really good book. So who are you reading right now?
It's going to sound...
You're probably reading 3 or 4 books at the same time.
I do.
Okay.
But Leadership in Turbulent Times, Doris Goodwin is an incredible author, and she compares 3 presidents at the same time, so I'm reading that. I'm trying to find something light to read right now. I like mysteries, and so I like to read, what's her name? The #1 detective lady, because things that don't have anything that I have to pay attention to but just can be entertained by.
Should be paid attention.
There's nothing heavy in it. Every now and then I try and read something like that to try and take my mind off all the heavy things that I have. That's the escape for me. But I haven't had a chance to read a lot lately because I spend so much time Zooming that it's really taken away a lot of my read time. But
you all focus in on, I see Delta Sigma, you all have been on the forefront of some really good movies and documentaries. I think the one that just showed on MSNBC with How I See It, I think you all were, the way I see it, and it was the photographer Pete Sorrell who shot President Obama.
Right.
I think you all focused on that film as well. You all do some amazing things. Let's talk about your hubby, because that's my friend. That's my friend. What's the funniest joke he's ever played on you?
You really want me to say it out loud?
Yeah.
Okay,
well, I don't know.
So,
go ahead and say it.
Okay, so we're in the mall.
Okay.
We live in Atlanta, so we're at Cumberland Mall. He thinks it's funny. I don't necessarily. I was on crutches. I had hurt my ankle, leg, or something like that. We're walking in the mall on a Saturday afternoon. I will never forget. So Saturday afternoon, I'm in my crutches walking along. All of a sudden, he turns to me and says, and I'm going to show you what he did. Yep. Drop your crutches and be healed.
And pushed you.
He hit me in the center of my forehead. I went flying to the ground in the middle of the mall. A crowd is gathering. He turns to the crowd and says, I have always wanted to do that. I'm looking at him like, I am on the ground. He said, let me help you up. Now, it says something I cannot repeat on the air. I said, what were you thinking? He said, I don't know what got into me. I just got this.
Oh, my God.
So, and the funny thing was, the men in the crowd were trying not to laugh. The women were horrified at what he had just done. So, we obviously didn't speak all the way home. Are you okay? I said, you asked me now if I'm okay? So that probably is the most outrageous. I don't know if it's funny, but it is the most outrageous. I have been awakened in the middle of the night, and he's got some kind of voodoo mask on and a machete. He's just
never a dull moment.
Never a dull moment.
No.
And unfortunately, the children are now the same way. His son does the same kind of thing. So
let's talk about the kids. You have 2 kids.
I have 2.
And your daughter's a Delta, right?
My daughter's a Delta.
And your daughter-in-law is an AKA.
Yes,
She's
she
phenomenal,
is.
right? And then you have
Absolutely.
grandkids. So let's talk about
Absolutely.
the grandkids.
There are 5 of them.
Okay.
And they are little militants. Okay. Every last one of them. So they have been at protest marches recently with their mask on, wearing Black Lives Matter signs, and they are so powerful in and of themselves. One is an artist. They range from age 7 to 14. I can't believe she's 14, going to the international school here. But they're, I will tell you another story. My son, when the kids were little, he has 2 girls, Bailey and Carter. And Bailey was just maybe about 6, maybe she was probably 5. We were watching her one night, and he came to pick her up. He's a teacher and a coach in the school system here. Rashawn's a TV radio person, Rashawn Ali. And Bailey hadn't been herself. She was just kind of moping around. He said, what's wrong with her? I said, I don't know. So Brian walks in the door. Brian is 6'2", 6'3", looks at her and says, were you a leader today? She starts to pout. He said, I asked if you were a leader today. She says, no, I wasn't. I didn't listen to the teacher. I got so wrong. I didn't put my book back up where I was supposed to. You gonna do better tomorrow? Yes. I said, what is wrong with you? Why you treat that child like that? Every day, he asked them if there had been a leader today. And he said, Mom,
that's powerful.
You don't know for girls if they're going to have a relationship, if they're going to have someone in their lives, if they're going to be on their own. I want them not to feel like they need to be led by somebody else. Absolutely. They have to have a mind of their own. And so it's important for me. He's still to this day. I ask the girls every now and then, your dad still asking you that question? Every day.
That's powerful.
When he gets back, he asks them, were you a leader today? If you were, what did you do to be a leader? And if you weren't, why not?
That's powerful. This time has flown by with you. I'm going to give you an opportunity to close it. Is there anything that you want to say, that you want to tell, or in wrapping up? This has been 30 of the quickest minutes of my life.
It has been.
So is there anything that you want to say that we haven't shared yet?
Right now in this time, and I don't know when this will air, the importance of this vote thing, I think we're all focused on making sure we vote. But the thing I would say to people personally, because it is a passion of mine, please take care of yourselves.
Exactly.
I think that's most important. Making sure that you are physically, mentally, and spiritually well will help you survive through these bad times and good times. I've been around long enough. Matter of fact, today, I will have been a Delta 53 years today.
Happy anniversary. Happy Delta anniversary.
This is my Delta-versary of 53 years. But in that time, I think making sure that you are taking care of yourself and doing what you need to do is most important. There is a leader and talents that all of us have. Do not let this environment for people of color get to you to the point where you think less of yourself.
I totally agree.
That is so very important, because there is so many messages that try and make us think we are less than who we are. And we cannot afford to listen to those. It affects us, it affects our children, it affects the future. Do you.
Exactly.
And do you well.
Thank you for giving us something we can't give you back, and that's time.
Thank you.
Thank you. You have been watching The It Factor. I am here with my shero, Madam President of one of the most prestigious organizations, Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated. We'll see you the next time on The It Factor.
Thank you, Hank.